Boom Beach just reworked the entire prototype system. There's a brand new workshop and some balance changes too. So let's take a deeper dive into how it works. If you're HQ11, you can build a prototype workshop, which should mean that most players have access to it. I think it takes like a month or so to get to HQ11, so it's something that most players can enjoy. Initially, all you can do is start loading the first prototype, but most of the slots are locked behind other upgrade levels. And it's basically a place where you can train individual landing crafts of different prototypes. So when you spend an hour to train Rainmakers, it's just one boat of them. Whether or not you can house one or two in a landing craft, it's just going to fill up to whatever capacity you have. We can talk about what upgrading the workshop does. Every time you upgrade the workshop, it does one of three things. When you go to level 2, you get one more slot in the training queue, and this means you can just train multiple prototypes at the same time. It's mainly for those without instant training, because this means you can let 2 or 3 prototypes cook for a while, and then come back and get new ones going. The training time isn't too bad because once the prototypes are trained, then they're going to be instant when you load them on an actual attack. And the other main thing that happens when you upgrade the workshop is the storage capacity gets larger. So whereas in level 1 or 2, you can only have up to 4 different landing crafts of prototypes, once you go to level 3, that goes up to 6. So as you train prototypes either through time or even a bunch of diamonds on the right side, then you can see them in your storage. And most of the upgrades early on are going to be one of these two things, either one more slot in the training queue, or 2 more storage to house your prototypes. But the third thing when you upgrade the workshop happens around every 5 HQ levels, and this gives you another prototype every single week. And it depends on the cycle, it'll be every week 4 different prototypes. So in this case, now you can get Rainmakers and Critter Cannons. And some were asking if the storage applies to just one prototype or all of them, but it's for every individual prototype. So when you go to your landing crafts, instead of picking the normal troops, you can click on the Proto tab and choose a landing crafts that you already had in storage. Since it's not based on troop capacity, because we're already maxed out, we'll have 2 Rainmakers per boat, 2 Critter Cannons per boat. And the cool thing is, there's no limit to how much you can mix and match. If you want to take only one boat of a prototype, that's possible, or in this case, 2 Rainmakers, 6 Critter Cannons. But the one main thing that makes it different from normal troops is when you drop them, whether or not they die, they're going to be lost in your army. So here we can speed up, use a bunch of troops. We're using the mind control defense engraving, so got some troops to attack us. So in this case, our troops did die, so they're gone, but even if they stay alive, you also don't have them anymore. It's really just a way to not always have overpowered troops all the time. Once you use up your storage, then you have to wait until the next time you get them. And the troops we didn't use, like these Critter Cannons, if you change these boats to any other troop, you can still have them in your storage. They just go back in. Once the update lands, you'll probably want to upgrade the workshop as much as possible, especially getting that increased storage capacity. And like we said, every 5 levels, you can get another type of prototype. So in this case, at workshop level 11, which unlocks at HQ 21, now you can have 3 different types of prototypes. The previous second slot was available HQ 16, so it's still every 5 HQ levels. And now we have one of the best prototypes, Heavy Choppas, and can train up a bunch of them since we have 5 slots in the training queue. On the dev build here, it does show less than 24 hours for every cycle, but once the update lands, every week you can choose between 4 different prototypes. So another cycle can have clone rifles, cryo tanks, protectors, and another one with melon bombers, engineers, Dr. Vitamin. So whatever prototypes are available that week, you can stockpile them in your storage. And the reason some of them, like here Lasertrons, show infinite, it shouldn't really be in the live version, but it's their way to deal with Proto Crab. Because for those who remember the Proto Mega Crab, you have unlimited access to 1 prototype, and it seems like when we get it in November, then you'll have unlimited access to 4 prototypes. So fingers crossed it's cool ones like Heavy Choppas, Melon Bombers. But as far as the rest of the year goes, how many prototypes you can make depends on your workshop level. Level 15 you get both storage capacity and a training slot, and level 16 you get the 4th prototype option, which is at HQ 26. So here you have full access to all 4 proto troops. This one being the most amazing cryo bombers. And some people did ask, what happens if you have instant training? Which can't believe they lied to us. It's not going to be instant, but it's going to take 1 second to load every single landing craft. So if training proto troops wasn't easy enough, all you gotta do is tap a bunch of times and wait a few seconds. And of course, as you train them, see how many you got in your storage. Now whatever proto troops you have, you don't have to use them that week. If you put them in your storage, you can stockpile them for whenever you want. So even with different proto troops that week, you still have everything in storage from the previous ones. It could be a good strategy saving some really strong proto troops for maybe a tough operation or even mega crab. And once you have the time you want to use them, you can steamroll through bases. The last couple upgrades are a bit different. They still increase the storage capacity. So at workshop level 18, unlocked at HQ 28, you can store up to 22 landing crafts of proto troops, but in any given week, you can only make 16 of one proto troop. So in 1 week, you can train up to 16 landing crafts of any proto troop, but if you want to store them all the way up to 22 landing crafts, you have to wait another week to train the rest. Not really sure of the reason why. Seems like it just wants to limit how much you can train in a given week, but once the update lands, we'll see how people like it and maybe they'll make some changes. And we can load up a few proto troops to do some attacks. Because it's based on individual landing crafts, you can choose how many you want to take. So if you want to load up 8 boats of heavy choppas, you can do that. Go ahead, do an attack. These should be one of the few that's really good even at low level, but since the heavies from heavy choppas are based on your armory level, that really makes or breaks how strong your heavy choppas are. And here we'll show even if you retreat, don't lose a single troop, once you go back to your base, you see they're all gone. So you gotta really make sure that when you use a proto troops, it's gonna be worth it. Either make sure it's a super fun attack, or if it's a really tough base. And you're never forced to use all 8 broads of one proto troop, you can mix and match however much you like. So in this case, 2 heavy choppas, 2 shotgunners, even normal troops, so 4 bombers. It's gonna finally give the option for a lot of different strategies. Because in the old system, you only ever had 1 proto troop for 1 week, and there was never a time except 5-6 years ago where you can have 2 different proto troops in the same attack. It still means that even if you don't lose any proto troops, these are going to be gone from your normal boats, but giving you the full freedom on what types you take. Upgrades are going to be separate, so once you go to the armory, you can upgrade each proto troop using proto tokens, and we'll have another video later on upgrade costs and how long it's going to take to max them out, but the only way to get these proto tokens is by doing the new cycle of evil. So every day, do your Hammerman or Dr. T or imitation game, and get these tokens. The other thing we're going to cover about the proto troops is about 7 of them are going to have balance changes, so let's check them out. First is cryo tanks. They're finally not going to be the worst proto troop costing the most GBE, so no longer 18 GBE per cryo tank, now it's going to be 8 just like Scorchers. Their slow effect is also increased from 5 to 6 seconds, and their beam distance now scales with level. I think they're still going to suck, but I guess if you want a cryoneer that has a bit more range, then here's an option. The next balancing is a pretty cool one though. Before, Dr. Vitamin had a few different variations. Sometimes it would speed up troops, sometimes it would increase their damage, but now there's a combined version that does a bunch of different buffs. You get more movement speed, more attack damage, and the cool part, which I don't know if they did it before, but it gives armor to your troops. And for those who don't know, armor is an offense engraving that makes the damage per shot a little bit less for any building. It doesn't really impact high-hitting defenses like cannons or boom cannons, but it means splash defenses do a lot less damage. So things like machine guns, flames, rockets, defenses with a lot of small shots, they're gonna do barely any damage. So you can probably see it easiest with the rockets there. It's the first time we have a troop that gives an offense engraving, so who knows, maybe in the future we can have other troops that can give other engravings. The next proto troop that got a balance change is a Protector. Its hit points got doubled, and its shield has a bit more health. It's also a good way to see the new changes to shields. So the Protector, Kavan's Ice Shields, and the temporary ability Crystal Shield, now they're no longer going to decay over time. Once you pop them, the shield lasts forever, or until a defense makes its health go down. Protectors might still have a limited use case, maybe in some strategies with bombers, but if there's a bunch of troops, it can't really keep up with the mass of them. But you can notice a bit that the shield HP has a bit more health, because those rockets are taking quite a while to take it down. And another change is coming to the turret engineer. It's been maybe over 2 years since we had it, but the turret HP is going from 850 to 1850. It's still not a lot, especially at max level, and from what we saw, it doesn't get increased if you have troop health statues. What's weird is troop damage does affect the turret damage, but troop health just does nothing. So even rocket launchers take them down pretty fast. But since a level 1 engineer is going to have the same turret HP, maybe it's a good troop for low levels. Another change is coming to the melon bombers. They're finally going to cost GB to drop, and it's technically a nerf, but really just putting it on par with the other types of bombers. They're already super overpowered with their splash damage, so 1 GB for every bomber shouldn't matter too much. It is one of the cooler proto troops though, even the animation of those melons flying, and probably one of the main troops to focus on upgrading when the update lands. The other engineer is also getting some changes, this one being the critter engineer, arguably one of the worst proto troops, and the change they did was make its attack speed improve by level. But looking at it, it still throws critters super slow. Maybe if it did like 6 or 10 critters at once, basically like a critter cannon but 10 times worse. Because the critters pop out so slow, it's hard to distract enough buildings. So whereas melon bombers I would focus on first, critter engineers probably leave to last. And the last proto troop that's getting balancing is a stunner. One change is their attack range is now the same as Gren's, so should be able to at least outrange cannons. But the main thing is now they actually have some damage. Before it used to be literally 1 damage per second, but now it should be around 2/3 as much as normal Gren's. Since they shoot every 11.5 seconds, when they do hit that shot, it's like if a bomber hit that building, because it's so much damage in one shot. And not only that, the attacks also have a damage radius. Of course, you're still going to use this for its main effect, stunning buildings, but doing a bit more damage isn't going to hurt. They do have a pretty cool animation too, throwing shock bombs like 50 tiles in the air. And because you're always storing individual landing crafts of proto troops, it really works out just having maybe 1 or 2 boats in any attack. But that's a balancing side done. The proto troop workshop is coming in this update, and let me know what you think. Hoping the first cycle has a bunch of fun troops, and that's gonna be it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.